Welcome to Trending Today podcast, everything you missed today in 15 minutes. So, Mace's Thanksgiving Day Parade 2024 sounds like it was eventful, dreary skies, right? But more than just the weather, huh?
Yeah, definitely more than the weather. Millions watching the usual spectacle, but then, bam, a protest.
Right in the middle of the parade during all the festivities? Oh, really?
Yep. Seems like around 9:30 a.m., a group of pro-Palestinian demonstrators, maybe 20, 25 people, disrupted things.
Breaching security barricades? Wow. That takes some nerve, I guess. So where exactly did this happen? Like right in the thick of it?
Right ahead of the Ronald McDonald balloon, apparently. Can you imagine? Talk about a jarring juxtaposition. Ronald McDonald and Free Palestine chants.
Oh, wow. I see. So they were chanting Free Palestine, and what else? Did they have signs or anything?
A banner, too. Something like, "Don't celebrate genocide. Arms embargo now." Pretty strong stuff. Really brought the parade to a standstill.
And the police? I imagine they reacted quickly?
Swiftly. NYPD on bicycles. Gave warnings first, but then arrests. 21 by their count. Though I've heard slightly different numbers floating around.
Interesting. Charges pending, of course. This isn't the first time something like this has happened at the Macy's parade, is it? I seem to recall.
Not even close. The parade's such a huge, visible event. It's kind of a magnet for this sort of thing. Protests related to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict have definitely happened there before.
Right. It's a platform. A very big, very public platform. So this raises some really interesting questions, doesn't it? What makes people do this? Disrupt a cherished tradition, Thanksgiving, no less.
It's a complex issue. I mean, is it justified? Is this an effective way to get their message across? Or does it just alienate people, overshadow the holiday?
And then there's the whole balancing act for the authorities. Freedom of speech versus public safety at a massive event. It's a tough one, right? Really tough.
Absolutely. And of course, this all ties back to the larger ongoing conflict. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it just keeps resonating here in the U.S. and globally. Such a difficult situation. It really is.
So, wow, right in the middle of the parade, a protest erupts. It really underscores, doesn't it, how these global conflicts, they ripple outwards, they touch everything, even something as seemingly removed as the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who expects that? You're watching Ronald McDonald float by and then bam, Free Palestine. It's jarring, to say the least.
Talk about a clash of contexts, a real collision of narratives, you know? It makes you think about the power of these public displays, these acts of disruption. What are they trying to achieve?
Well, obviously, they want to raise awareness to bring the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, specifically what's happening in Gaza, to the forefront, to kind of force people to confront it, even on Thanksgiving.
Right. Force a confrontation. It's like saying, look, you can't just ignore this. This is happening. Even while you're celebrating, this suffering continues. It's a powerful statement, in a way.
Powerful, yeah. But is it effective? That's the question, isn't it? Does this kind of dramatic interruption actually change minds? Or does it just alienate people, make them resentful?
That's the real dilemma. And of course, social media amplifies everything now. So that soundbite, those cheers turning into chants, that's going to be everywhere, debated endlessly.
Exactly. It becomes its own kind of media event, separate from the parade itself, almost. And everyone's got an opinion. Justified? Counterproductive? Too aggressive? Too much?
So it wasn't just a few scattered protesters, huh? They actually blocked the parade route?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Locking arms right in front of Ronald McDonald. Pretty bold move.
Bold? I'd say reckless, maybe? I mean, Thanksgiving families, kids, disrupting that, it's...
Disruptive, for sure. But also kind of symbolic, isn't it? Ronald McDonald, this icon of American consumerism, juxtaposed with this urgent political message.
Symbolic, yeah. But does symbolism justify disrupting a national holiday? I'm not so sure.
Well, that's the debate, right? They're trying to force a conversation to make people think about something other than turkey and football. Celebrate genocide. That's a pretty stark message.
Stark, yeah. And guaranteed to get attention, which I guess is the point. But at what cost?
Right. Alienating potential allies, turning the holiday into a political battleground. It's tricky.
Tricky is an understatement. And the NYPD bicycles, huh? I guess that's standard procedure for crowd control at the parade.
Yeah. Warnings first, then arrests. Trying to de-escalate, I suppose, before things get out of hand.
Makes sense. Still, 21 arrests. That's a lot. And we'll be hearing more about charges and all that. This will drag on. Hmm.
Oh, absolutely. This will be all over the news cycle and social media. Forget about it. It'll be a firestorm. Everyone weighing in.
21 arrests, huh? That's a significant number. Though, like you said, other reports, they vary slightly.
Yeah, slightly being the operative word. I've seen numbers from 18 to 23. It'll get clarified, I'm sure, as things unfold. But still, 20-inch arrests at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? That's news.
Big news. And charges pending, of course. This whole thing, it's not going away anytime soon. We'll be hearing about this for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Court dates, legal wrangling, it'll drag on. And of course, the underlying issue, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that's not going anywhere either, sadly.
Soundbite. Police radio chatter. Brief, indistinct. Wow. That audio really puts you right there in the moment. The chaos, the tension.
It does, doesn't it? You can almost feel the energy, the confusion. A stark reminder that this wasn't just some abstract political debate. This was real people, real arrests on Thanksgiving.
Right. Real families, too, witnessing all of this. Kids probably confused and maybe even scared. It's a lot to process, especially on a holiday.
And the narrator's point about this not being the first time, that's key, isn't it? The Macy's Parade, it's such a huge public event. It's a magnet for this kind of activism.
Yeah, a magnet, a platform, a stage. And the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that's been a recurring theme, unfortunately. It keeps coming back, resurfacing, even in places you wouldn't expect.
Transition music, reflective. I like that music. It's appropriate, reflective. Because this whole incident, it really does make you think.
It does. Like the narrator said, it raises important questions. Questions about free speech, about public safety, about the effectiveness of these kinds of disruptive protests. Exactly. And questions about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict itself. It's such a complex, intractable issue. And this incident, this protest at the Macy's parade, it's just another layer of complexity. So 21 arrests, that's a lot, right? For a Thanksgiving Day parade. I mean, what drives people to do this? Disrupt a national holiday? Families, kids?
Yeah, it's a question that keeps coming up. What motivates this kind of activism, especially at an event like this? Such a cherished tradition. It's complicated.
Complicated, yeah. Like, what's the end goal? What are they hoping to achieve besides, grabbing headlines?
Right. Is it about raising awareness, putting pressure on policymakers, or is it more about expressing outrage, making a statement? It's probably a mix of all those things.
I guess so. But is it effective? I mean, does disrupting a holiday parade really change minds, or does it just alienate people, make them less sympathetic to the cause?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The effectiveness of these disruptive tactics. It's a delicate balance. You want to be heard, but you also don't want to turn people against you.
Exactly. And then there's the whole free speech issue versus public safety. That's a tough one for the authorities. How do you balance those competing interests, especially at an event like the Macy's parade? Millions of people.
Millions, yeah. And a potential target. So security's got to be tight. But you also have to respect people's right to protest. It's a real tightrope walk.
A tightrope walk, exactly. And this expert, this professor, he brings up a good point. The intensity of feelings, this conflict, it evokes such strong emotions on both sides.
Yeah. And those emotions, they sometimes spill over into unexpected places, like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. It's a reminder, isn't it, that these global conflicts, they have far-reaching consequences. They touch everything.
That music, it's almost ironic, isn't it? Uplifting, hopeful, after hearing about all that.
Yeah, a bit of a disconnect maybe, but I see what they're going for. A sense of possibility, perhaps, even amidst the conflict.
I guess, but 21 arrests on Thanksgiving, it's hard to feel terribly hopeful.
Right. And the narrator's point about the complexity of the issue, it's key. This isn't a simple story. There are so many layers.
So many layers. And these protesters, they see it as hypocritical, right? Celebrating Thanksgiving while all this is happening.
Exactly. Celebrating while others are suffering. It's a valid point, in a way. A moral dilemma, perhaps?
A moral dilemma, yeah. And they see the parade as an opportunity, a platform. to amplify their voices.
Right. To reach a wider audience, to force the issue into the national conversation, even on Thanksgiving.
But it's a double-edged sword, right? That disruption, it gets attention, but at what cost?
Exactly. Alienating potential allies? Turning the holiday into a political battleground? It's risky.
Risky, yeah. And the humanitarian crisis, that's what they're trying to highlight, right? The suffering in Gaza.
Absolutely. Trying to make people see, to connect, even amidst the festivities.
But does it work? That's the question. Does this kind of disruptive protest actually change minds?
That's the million-dollar question. Does it raise awareness? Or does it just turn people off, make them resentful?
And the message itself, don't celebrate genocide. It's powerful, but is it too much? Too aggressive?
Maybe. It's definitely provocative, designed to shock, to get a reaction.
A reaction, yeah. But what kind of reaction? That's the key, isn't it? Are they winning hearts and minds, or just creating more division?
That's the challenge, finding that balance between making a statement and alienating your audience. It's a tightrope walk, a very delicate tightrope walk.
It really makes you think, doesn't it, about, well, everything. Free speech, public safety, it's all tangled up together.
It is. Like, where do you draw the line? When does a protest become disruptive? Disruptive enough to warrant arrests, you know?
Right. And Thanksgiving, of all days, it adds another layer to it, doesn't it? This sanctity of the holiday versus this urgent message they're trying to convey.
Yeah, it's a clash, for sure. A clash of contexts, a clash of, well, values, maybe?
Values, yeah. And perspectives. Like, who gets to decide what's appropriate, what's too far?
Exactly. And then there's social media amplifying everything, turning it into this whole other thing, a spectacle.
A spectacle, right. And everyone has an opinion. Everyone's an expert. It's a lot.
It is. It's overwhelming almost. And the underlying issue, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, it just keeps going, this endless cycle.
It does. And this incident, it's just another manifestation of that, another ripple in the pond.
Exactly. A ripple that reached all the way to Ronald McDonald. Ironic, isn't it?
Ironic, yeah. And sad. Because it's Thanksgiving. It should be about unity, about gratitude.
It should be. But reality intrudes, even on Thanksgiving.
It does. And this outro music, it's fitting, isn't it? Peaceful, reflective. It gives you a moment to just think.
It does, to process everything, to maybe even hope for a better future. A future where Thanksgiving can just be Thanksgiving, and these kinds of protests aren't necessary.
A better future where dialogue and understanding replace disruption and division. That's the dream, isn't it?
It is the dream, and maybe just maybe it's not entirely out of reach. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on Trending Today. We appreciate you tuning in, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and keep those conversations going.